I'm Dr. David Unwin. I'm a GP just north of Liverpool in the UK. I think it's true to say I'm absolutely obsessed with improving the quality of the care for my patients without using drugs. I started becoming disillusioned really with medicine. When you're young, you become a doctor hoping to make a difference. And by the age of 55, I was having to face the reality that I wasn't really making much of a difference. And I didn't often see people who looked really well as a result of my treatments. And then I met somebody who had cured themselves, somebody who'd previously been taking medication for their type 2 diabetes. And this lady cut out sugar, but also the starchy carbohydrates that digest down into sugar. And she completely reversed her diabetes and came off all medication. She looked really well. In fact, she looked fabulous. She'd lost a lot of weight. And I was really intrigued as to how she'd done it. And this caused me to think how rare it was that I saw really well patients as a result of my interventions. And I was really interested to replicate what she had done for other patients. So one of the things I realised, with a shock really, it was a shock to realise in 2013 that most of us are having sugar with our sugar all day long. Because you start the day, I had what I thought was healthy, which was muesli, and I'd add extra raisins thinking that was healthy. Then I'd have a big glass of fresh orange juice, so that was sugar with my sugar. Then I was having biscuits after morning coffee, more sugar. I'm having sandwiches, the bread was sugar. And then I'd have a sugary yogurt, more sugar. Mid-afternoon, more biscuits, sugar. I'd go home. I used to love things like pizza, lasagna, spaghetti bolognese, that kind of thing. I'd eat loads. And then afterwards, I might have some cake. So actually, I'd gone all day having sugar with my sugar with my sugar. And when you think about it, most of the world is doing exactly that.
Help! Did you bring a loaf of Clausen's bread? No! Why don't you drop down to the grocery store for some?
Eat Wonder Bread. You want to grow bigger and stronger, don't you?
Mars gives you energy while you work, nourishes you while you relax, keeps you going while you play. A Mars a day helps you work, rest, and play. Because glucose and sugar, milk and chocolate are all in Mars.
Big bar enjoyment and big bar value. Weigh it up.
A Mars a day helps you work, rest, and play.
Finally it's morning, stretching, I'm yawning. PB&C is what I'm thinking of, and it only can be found in my Reese's Puffs.
Magically delicious! It's a pretty big job being a kid. Thank goodness for my personal assistant.
Tip Top Super Soft. Super soft bread for supercharged kids.
Break, drip, grill, right, tear up, lick bites. Enjoy every slice.
Life tastes great.
Let's go on.
Enjoy every slice.
So it can't be a surprise that we have an epidemic, indeed a pandemic, of type 2 diabetes. In my own practice, when I started as a young man, there was a practice of 9,000 patients. We had 57 cases of type 2 diabetes. We've now got over 500. So I'm still looking after the same 9,000 patients. They haven't changed genetically since 1986 when I started. But we've got a 9 or 10-fold increase in the prevalence of type 2 diabetes in that same population. And the problems that I face at Norwood Avenue in Southport are the same as doctors face in the south of England, Scotland, all over Europe, and in fact all over the world. And what we have now is an international pandemic of type 2 diabetes, shortening people's lives.
We like to describe this as a global catastrophe in slow motion. So if you put together the productivity losses, you put together the healthcare costs, the medical costs, it's astronomical.
The number of diabetes patients climbed rapidly within just a few decades, from 50 million to 430 million worldwide.
This huge global increase in the number of people with type 2 diabetes didn't just magically happen.
I think we'll take a break.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
What do you think? You can't sing, you can't play, you look awful. You'll go a long way.
But the medical establishment seems quite uninterested in finding the cause.
Why have cotton when you can have silk?
Even though diabetes represents a huge burden and cost.
Something different is about to happen. The most exciting thing that's ever happened to ice cream. New ice magic from Birds. A rich, smooth, chocolatey topping like no other. Because in a moment, ice magic changes into a deliciously crisp, chocolatey coating. New ice magic from Birds. Ice cream will never taste the same again.
In the United States alone, $327 billion is spent each year on healthcare costs associated with diabetes. Then again, one person's cost is someone else's profit. Perhaps it is just too profitable to keep people sick instead of giving them the information they need to get well.
The medical establishment has blood on its hands because we can see what's happening. Physicians, many of them are ignorant of what the nutritional guidelines should be, but there is no excuse whatsoever. It is not normal for huge swathes of the population to be getting type 2 diabetes. I mean, we're seeing it now in America fairly often in children and adolescents. And unfortunately, the philosophy in the United States is let's throw medications at these people. Let's give them more injections. Let's do expensive surgeries. That is the overwhelming philosophy. There is not enough public awareness of what is happening, and it's affecting children more and more. And the medical establishment is standing casually by.
And in fact, for several decades, the health authorities in most Western countries were recommending a diet that is high in carbohydrate content. The very diet that is likely to cause or contribute to type 2 diabetes. Organizations such as the United States Department of Agriculture, the National Institutes of Health, and the National Health Service in the UK were actively promoting the infamous food pyramid that advised 6 to 11 servings of starchy carbohydrates per day. When Dr. Unwin started looking into dietary interventions, he was met with criticism.
A lot of other doctors disagreed with what I was doing. Even doctors within the practice thought that what I was doing was weird, using diet. They were critical. And one of the main things was they said, well, we're not really paid to do this work. You know, why you should be seeing sick people, not spending your time with people with obesity and type 2 diabetes. Carbohydrate digests down into sugar. So starch is in a way concentrated sugar. And if you have type 2 diabetes, you're metabolically struggling to get rid of sugar and it becomes a poison. And that's the very basis of what I do, is encourage people to eat something other, because there's plenty of other things you can eat